What is up, Macomb? It's that time. It's 5 p.m. on the dot. You know what that means. Time for a little C4 Sports coming at you, the best live sports talk in the Macomb area. We're complete, with our whole new intro now. If you're listening to us on YouTube, courtesy of Mr. Darius Hawkins over there, the Hawk. I am Matt Langman at LmanMatt on Twitter. Feel free to tweet any of us during the show.
And I am Darius Hawkins. I don't know why I said "and" like I was the last one to speak, but I'm so used to going third, so I wasn't prepared for that. But I am Darius Hawkins, and y'all can get at me on Twitter at _Hawk_13.
And I'm Ryan Mason, and you can get to me at Mason_ILChief.
All right, so let's go ahead and kick things off with a little Western Illinois football. This past week went well for the Leathernecks as they crushed the Drake Bulldogs, I believe 38-13. They were up big going into the half, they were up big in the second half. First half was very close as Western improves to 2-1 overall, while the Bulldogs dropped to 1-2. The second straight game, Western had issues on the opening kickoff. This week, the Leathernecks fumbled, and Drake recovered on the Western 17. The defense stepped up in the red zone, and they held Drake to a field goal. And from there, it was pretty much all Western. Trenton Norville added a rushing touchdown in this game. He had a bounce-back game from that rough start he had the week before playing Big Ten team Wisconsin. This week we traveled to Northwestern, but before we look ahead to tomorrow, which I know a lot of people are going to be back home in the Chicago area, headed to Evanston to face the Wildcats, which I think should be a little bit easier of a challenge than the Badgers were last week. What do you guys see from this Drake game that we could bring into this week, hopefully put on a better performance against Northwestern?
Basically, all I see is the importance of the running attack. J.C. Baker definitely had a bounce-back game after not really doing too well in the second half versus Wisconsin. And he played well versus Valpo the first week. So after another great game he had against Drake, I think that it's important for him to really establish himself versus Northwestern this upcoming week.
I feel the same way. We thought it was going to be a lot closer ball game by our predictions last week. I mean, all were like double-digit wins, but at least by 10. I think the most was 12 or 13. I'm impressed. I think this week is going to be better than the Wisconsin game because you're going to have a lot more Western fans up there to help balance out, and Northwestern just doesn't look the same as of last year. So they're still going to lose, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't know what the point spread is right now, but I'll give them 10 points loss. I think it's going to be a lot closer, and I think that home crowd and Leathernecks is going to be up there tailgating. It's going to make them feel more like a home game than they're on the road.
So all that purple that they see in the crowd, they may not know if they're Leatherneck fans or not, so they might as well just tell themselves they're all supporting Western.
Yeah, I know we got quite a few people going up there for the game. Looking at the stats from the last game, we had Trenton Norville, who was he had 205 yards, a touchdown, but 2 interceptions. He did add a rushing touchdown as well, like I stated earlier. I think we just need to see more production, out of Norville. And then this game, I'm still waiting for him to have his kind of breakout game like I think he's capable of. He seems to be very talented. He seems to make, I think, pretty good decisions with the ball. It's just a few times a game he gets a little bit antsy in the pocket and tends to turn the ball over. So I think he just got to settle down, and he's got to rely on his senior running back, J.C. Baker, who had a heck of a game. Again, I think 135 yards for Baker on the ground. It was, what they say, his 9th game of over 100 yards rushing in just 2 years. He didn't even start all the games last year, I believe, is what they said. So we're going to have to see a lot of J.C. Baker, I think, in this game, and that can set up Trenton Norville because I think Western's offense can definitely thrive on a play-action passing game. Looking at the Wildcats, they had an extra week of preparation for the first ever meeting against Western Illinois. Northwestern is looking for its first win of the season following a 7-point loss to Cal and then an 8-point loss to NIU, which I'm sure we all have friends who go there, so the Huskies were very happy with that win. Both those games came at home, and the Wildcats held a 7-3 lead late in the third quarter over NIU, but the Huskies rattled off 21 unanswered points And that was about it for the Wildcats. I was a little surprised at that to see Northwestern drop that game to NIU. I don't know if you guys saw any of it. I saw part of the second half. But yeah, Ryan, I think you mentioned it. It's a down year for the Big Ten. It's definitely a down year for Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern Wildcats. So do you think this could maybe spring their season, having an opponent like Western Illinois?
I think just for confidence right now, that's my only guess. I don't see it being a good year for Big Ten. Maybe would be one positive for Northwestern, and maybe they do something in the West Division of the Big Ten. But besides that, like I said, it's been a down year. I was almost going to take a picture and bring it in, but Tosh.0 even made joke of the Big Ten Conference on Tuesday's show. He did his free plug at the end. He goes like, he shows up the Big Ten like logo and the teams, goes like, well, everybody should be done watching Big Ten football. And I'm going like, wow, that's kind of bad. Even a comedian from the West Coast is making fun of the Big Ten. So, yeah, I still see Northwestern beating Illinois at the end of the year. If something changes with Illinois, maybe Illinois can pull it off. But they need a win. If they eke out a win, they need a win by 10.
Yeah.
Or Northwestern's it's just going to be a horrible year for them.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that this win is basically just for confidence factor, just to have a game in the win column. I think they'll probably win by like 13, but I wouldn't say that it's a good starting point or a good point for the season, because if beating Western is your high point, then clearly your season sucks just 100%. So, I mean, well, the Big Ten does suck, but I mean, if this is really your highlight, then you got a lot of stuff that you need to go over in the film room and during practice.
I mean, they couldn't beat either Cal or NIU, and I think those are two games they should have had.
And they were both at home.
Yeah.
Northwestern, both games were at they were both at home, so that's even more surprising. I mean, Cal's is Pac-12, but NIU, Jordan Lynch was most of their offense, and he's gone. So Northwestern just must have lost a lot of offense, or they just thought they were going to skate by at home.
Yeah, I think I watched some of that game, and it looked like defensively they had kind of lost a step because NIU was just kind of gashing them with running in between the tackles. And that's something you haven't seen from Pat Fitzgerald teams in the past, being a former, I want to say, All-American linebacker for Northwestern. And so that's kind of surprising to see a Northwestern team look like that. Fitzgerald can't be happy. I actually met him before when my brother was being recruited by Northwestern. He seemed like a good guy, but he really demands a lot from his players, so that's why I'm a little bit surprised to see the struggles of Northwestern this year. And I think I would agree with you, Ryan, that it's going to be around a 10-point win. I'll say a 14-point win for Northwestern in this one over Western, but I think Western has another good showing, hopefully like that first half against Wisconsin. And if we can really get Baker involved in the game and get him going between the tackles, who knows what Western could pull off. If Norvell, maybe this could be his breakout game. Probably not, but it could be. So I think Western keeps it close for the majority of the game, and Northwestern walks away with a 14-point win and their first victory of the season. They'll go to, 1-2? Yeah.
So, and the game's on ESPN News.
Yeah,
so,
I heard that,
Yeah, which is weird that ESPN News is carrying games right now, but...
Yeah, that is strange. But yeah, I have Northwestern winning by 13, so I guess we'll go 10, 13, 14. Yeah, that's how I got it.
Kind of a quick fun fact about this game is I got the Western site up right here. This will be our first game against Northwestern, and with this game we'll have played every Division I program in the state of Illinois now at least once. Illinois State, we've played the most. We're 50-42-3 against them. Then Eastern Illinois, 40-21-4. Southern Illinois, 34-21-4. NIU, we're 17-21-1, and we're 0-1 against U of I, who we played once and lost in 2007. This will be our first meeting with the Wildcats of Northwestern, so it'll probably be 0-1, but hopefully.
That just shocks me. I mean, that Illinois and Northwestern does not ask to have Western come over and play them.
For an easy game?
Not an easy game, but just in state.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't tell you the last time Illinois played Northern. I mean, yeah, you want to see teams that you're never going to see again, but it took you this long to play Northwestern, which a lot of our alumni base is out of Chicago. There's something up with that.
Hey, who knows, man? I don't know how this whole college football thing works. It gets more corrupt every day. So, but you would think they would want to play Western because you would think that that's almost a guaranteed win on the on the schedule. But I'm kind of shocked myself too. I guess that's a nice fun fact. Thank you for providing us with that information, Matt.
Oh, no problem. That's the Western website right there. But so I guess we have our predictions. We're just missing out on Mr. Feiner. Adam should be joining us some point later, our Leatherneck Baseball Insider. So that'll cover the rest of our Western sports talk whenever he gets here. If you are a fan of Western Illinois baseball, be sure to stick around in the for later in the show, when Adam gets here, probably in 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Is normally when he shows up. So, yeah, if you want some inside track, last week we had some quality yoga talk.
Yeah.
And so who knows what Adam's going to bring us this week. He always has a fun little tidbit for an inside look at Western baseball. We can move on, though, until Adam gets here to the big boys of college football. And really the big story this week is Jameis Winston suspended for a quarter or a half?
Half.
He's suspended for the first half of their game this weekend for yelling the now famous Vine statement that I obviously cannot repeat on here, but it is very vulgar. Just go on Vine after scroll through a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I think I searched Jameis Winston obscenity, and it brought the first story. It had like tweets of all the people that were in the union when it happened, and I didn't know what he said, and then I read it. I'm going like, what an idiot.
Yeah, he really is stupid. But also, if you want to find out more about that statement, you can just go on WorldStar. I had to give my little plug for for the hood people out there. WorldStar every day. WorldStarHipHop.com. Y'all may not know about WorldStar.
Oh no, I know WorldStar.
Say, Matt,
I know WorldStar. I know WorldStar.
About some WorldStar.
I do. I mean,
that went over my head. Just
I'm not quite a frequent visitor, but I like to check up a few times. Especially if it's a big video, I'll go on WorldStar for that.
I go there about once a day. Just
oh really?
To check on.
No, I'm more like once a week.
Matter of fact, I need to go on there. They got Flashback Friday with the music videos. So I need to watch that when I get back when we're done with this.
Well, we had some cream going on earlier, some Wu-Tang.
We did
earlier this morning.
We did. Cash rules everything around me.
Cream.
Get the money.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna try and bring this back to being serious, not about some WorldStar or some rap. Ryan, we'll get you jumped in on this one. What do you think has to be done with Jameis Winston? The guy can't seem to stay out of trouble, and he's the Heisman Trophy winner.
I think a full game would have been better. I can see why Florida State wants a half game because they're playing Clemson, who is ranked, and you just don't know what you're going to get from a ranked team, even though they're at home. But if it was real world, gosh, he would. Okay, for all if he was in real world, if he was like one of us, we would at least see probation, community service hours, maybe a little, spent a night or two in jail if it was over on the weekend. We would have at least seen that. He's getting special privilege, and that's my whole thing. What's going on right now with the NCAA, with the NFL, is that they're getting all-star treatment, and that's where I think where fans and all that are getting upset. I've seen stories of people like in the Atlantic City area that were never even given the opportunity that Ray Rice has for that pre-treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. But with Jameis, if I was a coach, 2 games. This is his 5th incident.
Yeah.
And what he said after the accusations he had last year, and now that they're pressing forward and the woman is maybe even wanting to come to make press charges, to make that statement and the situation you've been in, you're an idiot.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't, because like he's immature. I'm sorry, but you're Division 1A Heisman. You need to step up, just like Johnny Football won the Heisman. He's an idiot for what he's done.
I don't think his is as bad as Jameis Winston.
No, not as bad.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything criminally.
Yeah.
He has. There has been no charges for Johnny Manziel. Has there been some
NCAA violations?
NCAA violations or like photos of him going like, okay,
yeah.
he might be doing something, but no charges have been made, and that's the big thing. And that's my opinion. He's an idiot. 2 games at least. I don't know what what those 2 games would be. Of course, it would be Clemson, but I mean, they have to do something to get to him, because even though this is his last year, and Mel Kiper has him going down to
25th.
From 3rd to 25th, and goes like, good, because after what's going on in the NFL, there's a lot of teams going like, do I want to touch that? Because if he's doing this in college, when he gets some money in his hands, he might feel like he's more invincible and might be a troublemaker down the road even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. He is an idiot, and to yell out something like that, like you said, when you have rape allegations against you, shows a real level of insensitivity. Excuse me, let me get that word out properly. It shows a real level of that. It's just stupid. I would like to see him sit out, at least for sure, this whole game. Like you said, Ryan, I'm not sure who they play next after this, but this being an ACC game and Clemson also being ranked, I think it would be nice for him to sit. I've never been a fan of sitting players out for a half. I feel like that's stupid. Like, either sit them the whole game or just let them play. Like, what is a half really going to do? And even if you had him sit out the whole game, he probably wouldn't care. I mean, he knows he's going to the NFL after this, and we've seen him just do a whole lot of dumb stuff. I'm not a fan of his personally, just from the off-the-field actions. I remember he basically his timeline runs in concurrence with our C4 Sports timeline. I remember his first game versus Pittsburgh when I never knew who he was, and then he killed Pittsburgh his first game in college last year, and we was talking about him from that point on. And it seemed like, okay, this is a nice player, somebody to watch out for, but all the stupidity he has associated with him, I don't have no reason to respect that dude. He's really just an idiot, and I wish he'd stay out of trouble because I'm tired of hearing about him.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is more than just Jameis Winston. I was kind of talking to you, Darius, before the show a little bit about it. I think it kind of reflects our culture because he just seems like a kid who was always the best athlete and nobody ever told him no his whole life. He always got what he wanted. And it comes back to, I think the example of that is in the preseason for Florida State. Jimbo Fisher, the head coach for the Seminoles, kicked a defensive back off the field because he went too hard in practice and accidentally pushed a player over who knocked Jameis Winston over, and he got kicked off the field for knocking over Jameis Winston in training camp or whatever it was. And it's just stuff like that. The guy's gotten superstar treatment his whole life. Everybody wants to be his friend. Everybody wants to hold his hand. Oh, everybody's a yes man. That's what a problem with a lot of athletes, I think. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next segment when we talk NFL, but everybody around these guys are yes men. That's all they want is guys who are going to tell them yes, and that's what gets them into trouble is they don't have anybody there to kind of kick them in the butt to be like, no, that's not a good decision. You even saw it with LeBron. He had his childhood friends around him. That led to the decision, and he was like, oh, wait, that was not a good idea, and he got rid of all the yes men. I think a lot of people need to do stuff like that because it leads to these bad decisions.
And I remember the defensive player being kicked off because first that I heard it was on Mike and Mike in the morning, and you have Golick, who's a good guy. If you want to know about football, Golick's played college, and he goes like, back in my day, that defensive player would have been praised.
Yeah.
Because there was none. They had the red. Because like if you had a line, you couldn't seriously injure him, but give him a push. Tell him goes like, hey, you need to release that ball a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Because like. Yeah, and I think it's how kids are raised right now.
I agree.
Of where parents are at right now. I was getting my hair cut done today, and person cutting my hair, I know the family, and her son plays for Macomb High School, and I found for soccer, and the coach got fired because of an incident between players, and the players were okay with it, but they called it hazing.
Really?
And he got fired because like the parents were complaining because their little freshman, sophomore kids weren't playing, and I'm going
my God.
you know, that's kind of what the culture.
Yeah.
Because like these young, our generation.
Yeah.
I mean, between us
Yeah,
and our parents'
yeah.
generation, they were saying yes. A good swat in the butt would be good for what's going on right now.
Well, I've seen there was an interesting thing that ran, I want to say almost a year ago, on Outside the Lines about this very subject and our generation of the modern day student athlete and why you see so many problems like this. It's kind of it goes back to what's wrong with our generation. Everybody has their own opinion. My opinion on our generation is we're all entitled. Everybody thinks they're owed stuff, then they don't have to earn it. And that's what you're seeing from these college athletes. It's not just the yes men. It's the social media. Everybody's holding their hand. We have our phones. It's the sense of entitlement our generation has, and we have the brand new, unprecedented era of what they called on Outside the Lines the helicopter parents. With cell phones and modern technology, these kids are in constant contact with their parents. So the dad who was yelling at the coaches from the sideline and even high school, but like, Pee Wee football, you got the dad like, oh, put my son in. Oh, what are you doing, ref? It's some dad who thinks he knows everything in the stands. He's now there at college. The kid's not playing. He's going to call up the coach and on his cell phone or whatever it may be, even Skype or whatever. And you got they called it the helicopter parents because the kids have a problem. Back in the day, even 5-10 years ago, they couldn't. They got to be a man and stick it out. You don't have your mommy or daddy to go run and cry to,
Exactly.
But now with social media and smartphones, you can go cry to mommy and daddy, and they can get into immediate contact with the coach, and it's just like high school or Pee Wee football all over again. So the sense of entitlement our generation has, and the helicopter parenting, I think, has really led to this spoiled behavior. That's the best way to put it. Is everybody's a little spoiled brat, I think, and it's kind of tough to watch now because it gives our generation a bad name, I think, and I hope not all athletes are like that.
I don't even want to characterize it. That is not the way you say that. I'm stumbling with words today. But I don't want to just give it as an identity to our generation. I just feel like in general, I've had this theory for a while, that there are more stupid people on this earth than there are smart ones. So I'm not surprised when I hear more stories about dumb idiots than I do about smart people, because that just confirms the theory that I made up for myself. There are more stupid people than there are smart ones, so dumb people are going to do dumb stuff. And then it does, but it is true what both of y'all said, that people are entitled. We know even before social media that athletes and top guys, they get preferential treatment. That's not nothing new, and it's not going to change. And it's sad though that those guys who get it, not all of them, but some of them, they can't handle that.
Yeah,
they take advantage of it, which is sad to see. But I mean, I guess that's how life goes. Even outside of sports, people who are good in certain fields, they get preferential treatment in something. Yeah. And I mean, everybody, I guess, abuses some type of power in some way. We all abuse something, but to this level, Jameis Winston and his example, that's just all the way just crossing the line.
If I was an opposing player, I think Jameis Winston would be the guy I want to take. I don't want to say a cheap shot at, because I'm not for cheap shots or cheating, but he's the guy you want to really hit hard and just kind of knock him down a peg, I think. I mean, I don't know the guy. I just know what the media has reported. So, but from the information at my hand, he's the kind of guy that if I was an opposing player, I'd want to knock this guy down a peg because he thinks he's on top of the world, it seems like.
And I'm going to go one more. I had Florida State winning the championship. I'm cheering against them.
You still have them winning. You can cheer against them and still have them win.
I'm going to cheer against them. That was my prediction. But with this new allegation, to me, the stuff in the past, well, I mean, we all know stealing the crab legs was true.
Yeah.
It's making me really think that something happened with the female.
You think? Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
So, and
I don't know.
I'm just saying, it just more and more is coming along. Yeah, I mean, if you're a executive next year, would you draft Jameis Winston?
Depends on what pick I had.
Yeah, and if you ask it, if we're an executive, that means I represent my Cowboys, and the answer is heck no. That not at all. I don't want anybody that brings more star power.
Well, if you're an executive to a team that needs
a quarterback.
If you're an executive in the first round and you need a quarterback, and of course, most likely you're going to be one of those that's in the top 10.
Right.
Would you take it, or would you wait to see if there's another quarterback that develops, or if you can get him in the second round, take him?
Well, that's why I said it depends on what pick.
Yeah.
If I think if it's even maybe a top 10 pick, I'd say no. If I'm like the 15th pick and I'm a team that needs a quarterback, I'm probably going to take. Even if I'm a team that doesn't need him, I'm probably going to take him. Then if I don't need him, I can trade him. And if I do, I mean, the kid's got talent. He just needs to mature. He just needs to grow up. That's
why it's tough to say, because I don't think he will last to the second round. Because at the end of the day, GMs, your job performance is not based on how nice your team is off the field. Like how nice they are to the public. If your guys can't play and they're the nicest guys, you're going to lose your job. And your team is going to suck. So if obviously he can play, if I need a quarterback, I probably would take him. Yep. Now, as far as being like a coach in that situation, I probably wouldn't like that decision. But, I mean, we know front offices disagree with each other all the time anyway. But that's a good question. That's a tough scenario to think about. Because you're right, with the way the NFL is right now with all the scandals,
and
you don't really want to touch a guy like that right now.
Especially when, we'll bring it up with Goodell, with the new policy he's going to hopefully have in place by the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That could change what he has in there, and you see his background, you're going like, wow, one slip up and we could lose him for a whole season, maybe, with just one slip up, because like that policy is going to take an effect of where he's probably drafted to.
I think what my real problem is with Jameis is that the crimes he's committing are stupid, petty crimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying go out there and be a serial killer. I don't want nobody to be like, oh, Darius Hawkins promotes serial killers. But, I mean, stealing crab legs, getting up on a school table and yelling stuff out. Dude, first of all, you got the attention of the whole school. It's not like he needs more popularity. Crab legs, I'm pretty sure somebody in that store could have got him them legs for free. I'm pretty sure.
And
like, come on, man.
I mean, you go to Florida State and you're the Heisman Trophy winner. I think if you go to Florida State and you're the Heisman Trophy winner, you could go to the cafeteria and be like, "Yeah, I want a steak," and they'll be like, "Coming right up, sir."
Yeah, exactly. And they wouldn't even be serving steak that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else in the school could get steak, but you getting preferential treatment. And he's committing dumb crimes. That's the part.
And
that
then
really
he tries to cover it. What was it? He said he forgot to pay for the crab legs. He forgot he had them. He just walked out.
And weren't they in a plastic bag?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
And he's like looking around because they have the videotape. And he's like looking around to see if anybody saw him.
To pay for crab legs.
Yeah.
I wish I could use that excuse. Oh, just forgot
to
pay for this TV.
Oh, I do not remember the man's name. He was the Oregon quarterback before Darren Thomas. He was a Hawaiian, kind of like Mariota is now.
Yeah,
and he always had that long towel in his back pocket like it was a tail. I forgot his name, but he got kicked off because he did the same thing. First it was weed, and they were like, all right, suspended for a game or two. Then it was like, what is it? Same kind of thing Jameis did, shoplifting. They were like, all right, you're suspended for like 4 games. That's the year they lost to, I think, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl.
He was suspended for and got kicked off the team.
Then they kicked him off after the Rose Bowl during the offseason because he tried to steal more stuff. It was like teammates' laptops and stuff, and they kicked him off. During the break, I'll look up the guy's name because I know who I'm talking about. I can picture him right now. He was because it went him, then Darren Thomas, and now they're at Mariota. Yeah, it's just some of these guys, and I know LSU has had a problem with that. Like Tyrann Mathieu could have had a heck of a junior season there. The Honey Badger,
Jeremiah
Masoli, Masoli, yep. That's who I was talking about from Oregon. But yeah, the Honey Badger kind of did the same thing. I think he was weed, I believe, just like multiple times. Les Miles was kind of like, all right, enough's enough. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Same with Josh Gordon, where everybody's like, oh, he got a year for smoking weed. It's kind of like, yeah, it might be a little excessive for smoking weed, but it's like, isn't once enough? I'll give you one time. Like, okay, once, okay, one time, shame on me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are you doing? Just you're making millions of dollars to play a game. Or in this case, you're going to be Jameis Winston. You're going to be making millions of dollars. You're the big man on campus, These could be like the best years of your life. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I just don't get it. I really don't. As a fan of the game, it really makes me mad because I think these are guys almost who are taking advantage of the opportunity that they're given. Because I would kill to be in the opportunity they are, to be in that situation, to get a healthy knee and a boatload of talent, more of talent. And these guys, it just seems like they're taking it for granted. And just as a fan and somebody who this has been my life, my entire life since I could walk, I've been able to ice skate since I could really walk. It's kind of like, what are you doing? No matter what the sport is, no matter what the athlete is, hockey, basketball, football, anything, soccer, It just it's kind of irritating as a fan to see guys just take the opportunity for granted because they never should. They're pretty blessed to be in that situation.
You threw me off first when you said you could ice skate.
Yeah, because I was talking hockey was the first sport I played.
But then you said hockey after. I was like, okay, I'm like, you can ice skate. What
I was wondering because
hockey was the first sport I played.
I was trying to use a metaphor by skating through life. And
I didn't know
like,
where you were going with that. And I was
that's
about to cause a diversion. And I was like, hold on. So are you the male Michelle Kwan?
I should have started. I was saber hockey. That's what I started with.
All right.
Like all the S's back home you see on the people's cars. Yeah, that was me. That was my mom.
That took me for a loop before you then said hockey afterwards. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I started with hockey, then I quit. One of the biggest regrets of my life was quitting hockey to play football because all my friends played football, and now I wish I stuck out hockey. But, hey, you live and you learn. I'm trying to get back into shape to start playing some like beer league hockey or something. At least back home, because I don't really even think they have an ice rink here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably not.
Okay, so with this suspension, I mean, there's only one game for college football that's really relevant this week. Florida State hosting Clemson. Florida State is a 15-point favorite. Do you guys still have them winning? Do you still have them beating the spread, or is it going to be a lot closer game than 15 points?
I think it'll probably be 20.
Really?
Yeah, because, and I go off last year, they killed Clemson, even though Jameis played the whole game, and that's when Clemson was a better team. I believe they were third ranked in the country, and they blew them out. So it'll probably be, and the fact that they are at home, I'll say 20.
I'm going to go Florida State by 10. I think they struggle without Jameis Winston in the first half. And he comes onto the field and dominates that second half, so I'm going to say FSU by 10 in this one.
Okay, I have Florida State winning. I'm going to bet with my head, I guess, but I'm going to say by a touchdown.
Okay, I was thinking about that.
I could see Florida State tied or losing at halftime.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely struggling without Jameis Winston, but. I mean, that's what happens. I kind of agree, though. The first half suspension doesn't really make sense.
No.
It's stupid.
A full game or nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's going to take us to our first break as we just passed the half-hour mark. Coming up next, we're going to have some NFL talk until Mr. Adam Feiner, your Western Illinois baseball insider, joins us in the studio up here on the third floor of Salee Hall on the campus of Western Illinois University. You're listening to C4 Sports on 88.3 FM, The Dog.
Hey America, we're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet.
Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake. There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats. Enroll!
So listen to me, a talking pug, you see. If you get health insurance, preventive care is now free.
So sweet.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options. That's getcoveredamerica.org.
And take care, people!
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Batteries?
Dead.
Great. Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Good enough. Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
And what about food?
Nope.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated, yeah?
The library. Aunt Joan's house. The bus stop.
Great. And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Sounds like we don't have a plan. Who's up for mini golf?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
C4 Sports back in the place to be. You already know what it is. We are live in Macomb Studio 326. We're going to go ahead and get into this NFL talk. For y'all who do not know, and for those who do, Roger Goodell gave a speech today. This is his first time speaking, I believe, since the whole Ray Rice incident took place. And he actually had a few interesting quotes. He talked about, as Ryan mentioned earlier, a new personal conduct policy that he wishes to have in place by February. He said that he won't resign from his position. That also he re-said once again that he got it wrong with Ray Rice, and now is the time to get everything right. And two interesting things that I saw, well, that are actually it's 2 to 3 interesting things that I heard. Once somebody asked him about how when Sean Payton was suspended for the whole Bounty Gate thing, Roger Goodell came out and said, ignorance is not an excuse. However, Goodell seems to be highly ignorant right now, and he's using it as an excuse, talking about he got it wrong, and now he's trying to get it right. So he's going back on his words. Also, Rachel Nichols got a lot of applause or whatever on Twitter because she asked the commissioner, why is it that you say that you tried to get the videotape, but the Atlantic City Records Office says they have no record of communication with the NFL? Roger Goodell responded with, according to his security office, they tried to get the tape several times and they were never able to get it. Which, first of all, I don't understand how it's your security office trying to get it when you could have called yourself. And he said supposedly as if he's not the head of the whole league. And then TMZ went ahead and said they got the tape off of one phone call while the NFL has a whole legal system and they never were able to get it. And then Outside the Lines just reported right now that the Ravens management actually pleaded with Roger Goodell to give Ray Rice a lesser sentence instead of him being cut. Now, I don't know if this actually took place before the videotape. I know ESPN just broke that news right now, and they have a whole article up on ESPN. So I encourage y'all to read that after this C4 Sports goes off. Don't read it right now because you need to listen to us. Okay, but after we go off, y'all can go ahead and read it. I'm going to read it myself. So I don't know if any of us actually got to see the press conference. I know I didn't. And also shout out to my dad for giving me that Outside the Lines information through text. But what do y'all feel about what Roger Goodell, what he said? Basically, he really didn't step up to the plate. He didn't answer really what happened with the videotape, why he didn't admit to seeing it once again, even though we know he did. He claims that he never got it still, even though he said he reached out for it, and the Atlantic City Records Police Department saying that they never had NFL communication. So what do y'all feel about what took place today?
I heard bits and like the bits you said. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
To me, he should not resign. I think he's more a positive than a negative right now.
Okay.
Even if there's ignorance going on, I'm still giving Goodell the benefit of doubt. Because you always have different sides of the story. And I'm going to look at him without judgment. And you know how corrupt the NFL can be. You know how corrupt the legal system can be.
Yeah.
Criminal justice system. So, I mean, I think both are just trying to cover their butts, and whoever's pieces of paper comes out or email coming out that it was sent and said something. Until then, I'm going to side with Goodell. But if this new Outside the Line story, it's Jim Harbaugh. Let's see, is it Jim or is it John, who's the head coach?
I always confuse it.
I think
It's John.
I want to say it's John.
Yeah, it's John. I get the Harbaugh
they look
brothers.
exactly
yeah,
the same.
they do.
And they both are J's.
Yeah. That even puts him in a tougher situation. John Harbaugh was put in. Now looking at this, was put in a more difficult situation when he had that press conference because his owners and executives were trying to lessen it, and he had no idea either. If this is true, why? Why would you want a lesser punishment for after the video? It's like you're saying we still want to give him a pass. And I don't get that.
I would say it's all about what they like to call protecting the shield, which is pretty much they've screwed that one up pretty badly over the past week. As they're trying to manage the image of the NFL. That's why they tried, to cover up that video, and they're trying to get away with giving them a 2-game suspension, as they want to be like, oh, the NFL doesn't have an image problem. Goes back to what we were talking about last year, how a lot of people think the NBA has an image problem, especially in Middle America, when really it's kind of the exact opposite. I think it's the NFL that has a big image problem, and not so much the NBA. And it's coming out especially this week. Adrian Peterson, that guy on Carolina, Hardy, Ray Rice, obviously, even Roger Goodell, the commissioner, now has an image problem and a credibility problem. So the NFL, they're not going to lose money, because don't kid yourself, people. Baseball is not America's sport. It might be America's pastime. It's not America's sport. America's sport is football, 110%. It has been for a long time. So the NFL is going to continue making money. They're going to continue to run the sports world, at least here in North America. So, and even now they're branching out into Europe, because I know London's pretty American football crazy there too. They really want a team there. The only really thing stopping that is the logistics, how they're going to do that for a season and stuff. But the NFL is going to keep moving on. And in terms of should Goodell be fired or not, I kind of agree with you, Ryan. I don't think he should. I look at it almost, I don't want to say necessarily 3 strikes you're out, but I do believe in forgiveness, and I believe in atoning for your mistakes. This is a bad mistake. This is a big mistake. Like I said, I used to maybe not be a fan of Goodell, but I respected the man, and I respected how the consistency in his decisions, and this broke up that consistency. So I've lost a lot of respect for him, but I'm not about to give up on him fully yet. But he's on thin ice right now. He's kind of, if you want to say he's on probation, I'd say I'm putting him on probation right now. Is if he messes up big again, or not even big, if he messes up even a little bit again, that opinion might change. It all depends on what he does. But I think for this is putting him on probation. Not out, but on probation for me.
One thing I always think about all the time with all these stories coming out is when Mark Cuban, I believe last year, said that within 10 years the NFL will implode. And right now you can't really see that happening. Like you said, Matt, they have a lot of money coming in. And they make more money than any sport in this country by far. And at the time when he said that was when all the concussion stuff was taking place. And you would think maybe the game will get softer, as it has, but that might not really cancel the league. But when you have stuff like this, like legal issues, and it seems every day, I've said to both of y'all, every day it's a new NFL player that's coming out with a new problem. If that continues, I wonder when will it get too much for the fans. Because, look, after this subject, we still going to preview the NFL games today.
Yeah.
We still going to watch them on Sunday. Well, the ones we can watch, but that's a side story. Freaking soccer taking up my time watching the Cowboys. But we still going to watch. We still going to, be fans, buy the merchandise, everything.
Yep.
But when does enough become too much? You know what I'm saying? When does it get to a point where it's you can't really respect the league? Like you said, you lost a lot of respect for Roger Goodell. The players aren't looking good as a whole right now. There are it's infighting between the league with the old players. Players are fighting each other with all this. They don't like how they're being judged by the media, which of course you don't, because one person gives a bad name to everybody. So I'm just wondering, when does it become too much? When is it that an organization, we know the women's organization tried to have Goodell kicked out, which that of course not going to come to anything. But how long is it going to take until somebody really stands up and tries to protest the league? Because I feel like somebody's going to end up doing it.
Maybe. It's just, I think like you said, at the end of the day, everybody's upset, everybody's kind of outraged, but come 2 days from now, when at noon our time, everybody's going to be sitting on their couch watching the games.
Exactly.
They might have a scowl on their face and talk about this guy's a punk, this guy's a thug, this guy's a woman beater, but they're all going to be watching, and everybody's going to be checking their fantasy team. Because I think that's something people don't take into account either, is there's a lot of money in fantasy. I don't know if you've seen the commercials, that FanDuel.com, the one-week fantasy leagues. Yeah. How do you think they have all those money to advertise that?
Every day.
Yeah, exactly. They're making a boatload of money, to quote them directly, is they can give away $5 million a year because fantasy football is the hottest thing to do in American sports. Like, people who don't even like football will play fantasy football. Yeah. And I just don't see it ever happening. The NFL, I don't think, will ever really go away. Like, I don't think anything could happen. Like, the entire league would have to be a league of mass murderers for football to really go away. And there might be an image problem. There might be maybe individual groups like this women's rights group right now that stand up and protest, but this is America's game. I think it honestly always will be. I think hockey and basketball are on the rise, especially basketball. But I just don't see either of them truly overtaking football because think about when you're a kid. What's the tradition with your family or your friends? You gather once a week, every Sunday, and you watch football. You get good food. You spend time with friends and family, and you watch football. And I think that's what makes football so much more special than the other sports. It's once a week. Where football, especially baseball, you got so many games. Or excuse me, I said football, especially baseball. But hockey and basketball are both 82 game seasons. Baseball is like what 170,
162.
Oh my lord, no, that is just it. Kind of takes away from the novelty of the. I think basketball and hockey should be shortened at least 10 games, but. Football, it's just it's an American kind of tradition. It's every Sunday, in the fall and the winter it's football, and I don't think that will ever change ever.
Yeah, I'm quoting somebody from ESPN. I forget what show it was. But Roger Goodell has been more reactive than proactive.
Yeah,
and we could say that about the criminal justice system to no end. And I'm really waiting to see what this new conduct policy is. That could be a game changer for him. If he hits it right on the head and does stuff that is going to show, okay, you've learned, and now it's in place. Let's see it, and let's see it be used accurately. But what I'm waiting for is everybody wants to hear from Goodell. I want to hear from the Players Association.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
we haven't heard anything. It's hey, yeah, we're going to defend Ray Rice and try to get his suspension down, and that's probably more. They have to because they're a union. They kind of want to say, hey, Ray Rice, just take a back seat for a little. They would love to do that.
Yeah,
but they couldn't. It's a union, and then you're just asking for even more trouble there. But I want to hear. I want to hear a spokesperson from the PA, not just about Ray Rice, but about all these things. What are you as a union doing for your players? It just can't be Goodell versus the players. It has to be the players' union that stands up and say, hey, we have a problem. We need to do something also. Yeah. And it seems like the Players Association and the Commissioner's Office is not talking. And I need to see that.
Yeah,
now.
that's what I've been waiting to see because just in general, I'm very anti-union on anything. But this is not a political talk show. This is a sports talk show. So that's why I've just kind of been sitting back and I'm waiting for the union because I'm just kind of where are these guys now? Why aren't they saying anything? They're right there whenever money's involved. Whenever somebody's trying to take their money. Because the players
lockout, you heard plenty of them, but now no.
To me, the players' union is a lot. I think they have similar motives to what you see the NCAA. I think they're both kind of a little bit archaic systems. I don't want to say you don't need the players' union, but I think they bite off more than they need to chew. So that's why I compare them to the NCAA, and that's also just because I don't trust unions in general. But that's why it's been interesting. Is now one of their own looks bad, and they're in a tough position, and you don't hear one thing from them.
Nothing.
Well, supposedly, according to Roger Goodell, from what I heard today, he hasn't been talking to DeMaurice Smith, and he's going to talk to him next week. Okay. And I put that on Roger Goodell because at the end of the day, he is a commissioner. We may want to hear from the Players Union, but the Players Union is not the head of the NFL. Mm-hmm. Roger Goodell is the head of the NFL, so it's his responsibility to have his league looking right. And they don't look right. So I don't expect the Players Union to really speak up because what are they supposed to say? What can you say right now? Your players look bad, but what can you say to fix that?
I think they got to say something.
But what can they say? Exactly. You have no idea what
do they do. Do they take Rice's side and say we're going to back him no matter what because that's our duty?
There's people in that association going I don't want my name on this.
Right, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. The players are infighting themselves. There's definitely, if the union comes out and say that there's going to be players heck no, we ain't supporting Ray Rice. But at the same time, why are you saying anything when the commissioner can't even get his story right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be saying that either because as far as the mass media, I haven't heard too many people saying that bad about the players.
Because as soon as you say something about them, their credibility goes down when they want to fight. Ray Rice is the only one that's going to appeal as of right now. Adrian Peterson, Dwyer, and Hardy, as of right now, are saying, okay, we're just going to take it because right now we're still on the team.
And because they're still getting paid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're still getting paid. The only reason why is if they find that they give Ray Rice some money, I might lose hope in NFL a little bit more. I think that's just
no. I think the only way they can, and I'd be okay with it, is because it's kind of like whether it was right or not is a separate debate. But they did go back on their word. It was initially just 2 games, and like it or not, that's double jeopardy. So that's why I think Ray Rice is technically in the right here, because that is double jeopardy. Morally, obviously wrong.
Right.
It's just that's on the NFL. That's on Goodell. He messed up, and it's his mistake. And I don't really think it's fair to Ray Rice. Morally right or wrong is a separate debate, but it is double jeopardy no matter what way you look at it.
I agree with you all the way around on that one. And Ray Rice, at this point, I mean, I don't really like the indefinite suspension thing because, first of all, indefinite, I don't like when people don't give timelines. I don't like when people just speak broadly. Give a definite suspension. How long is that? If you want to kick him out for life, then say lifetime. It's not going to be lifetime. If he was still producing, he'd be back in the league, I guarantee you, by the end of this season. The fact that he's not producing, maybe Baltimore was able to get away from it, and they didn't really care that much. But this is really all on Goodell to me. He's the one making the decisions, and then when new stuff comes out, he pretends like he didn't make those decisions in the first place. So that's why I feel like he should lose his job. It's not just because it's media outrage, but like you said, he's been reactive instead of proactive. I don't like any leader who's standing back and then waiting for something to happen before they step up. His history shows that he wanted to come in the league, and as soon as Roger Goodell came in, his big thing was about changing the culture of the NFL. Remember, that's when Pac-Man Jones was having all them problems. He was all about, we're going to make this a better league and all that. Well, the league's not better right now. It might be making money, and like we said, that's all
I just don't think he's been successful in changing the culture. Because whether you want to make the game safer or make it a better image, it starts with the culture of the players and what's in the locker room. And he hasn't been able to change that. And honestly, I don't think you ever will. I really don't think you will.
And
but should that be more on the teams? I mean, Goodell can't go, or Goodell and associates can't go to every locker room every week and go like, okay, what are you guys doing? I mean, it has to start at the home base and work your way up.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
And
with
I don't even see that because I'm sorry, but see, what was it? The Dwyer incident. That was in August.
I think August
and
or July,
the first
August,
and
like
Arians, the first time he heard about it was when he got arrested.
Okay.
Shouldn't he have been saying something? Because it is under the contracts that if any incident happens off the field, that is. I think it's any incident that is. I think that charges could be made. They have to know. They have to let the executives of that team know. He didn't, so he's in the wrong right there. So, and I guess that's what's the most shocked me about Dwyer is that he didn't say anything, because it's not for the NFL. It's not for the coaches to say each Monday, all right, or each. They might have 2 days off because, like, okay, what did you do this weekend? Anything bad? It's not them. You have to step up and say it. And for him not to say it, it's on him. And I think that's where you go. Like, you have to. If I did something wrong and it could jeopardize my stance in the team, I would say something like, "Hey, stuff went wrong. I did this and that this weekend. At least you know, so you can get the punishment." If you found that it goes like, coach suspends player for 2 weeks, and then it doesn't even make it to Goodell's office, or if it does, it goes like, okay, we agree with that punishment. We're not going to take any actions because you did that. I think it needs to start with the teams taking responsibility and getting stuff done before it even gets to the commissioner's office.
Now, I agree with you on that, and that's nice. But who in the world is doing that? There is nobody that I know on the face of the earth that if you don't think you're going to get caught necessarily, who's just going to come out and admit that they got into a domestic violence dispute at home? Nobody's just going to come
I'm
out
not even saying that. I'm saying any incident. You're supposed to report any incident that has happened.
You're supposed to technically, but nobody's going to do that. Because if you don't think it's going to get out, why would you say it? Nobody's going to tell on themselves.
Nowadays, it's going to get out.
But they don't know that his story happened in July, August, and just getting out right now.
It got out, though.
It did, but he didn't know that at the beginning. So he took the chance that it might not. So nobody's going to tell on themselves. Now, I agree with you. It's on these players' responsibilities. Every single one of these players are grown men. Every single one of them. It is their fault for all the stuff that that happens going on right now. That's not Goodell's fault that these players act stupid. it's not his fault at all. He's not the one. And you're right, he's not supposed to talk to every single player. Oh, don't do this, wag your finger. He's not supposed to be doing that. They're grown. But when he's not answering for it, and he's the leader, you said it happens in-house. If your leadership's not right, then the rest of the house going to fall apart. And the leadership is not right. He is not right as a leader, and as we see, the rest of the house is falling apart. The rest of the house is the NFL. It's supposed to be right up top and work its way down, and up top is not right.
I know there's been some talk if he is replaced for Condoleezza Rice, and I think that would be interesting because I remember she was a candidate when Tagliabue retired, and that's kind of who I wanted to see take over because I know she's a big football fan on that voting committee for college football now. So I know there's been some talk about that. I don't know if there's any credibility to it. Probably not. But that's something interesting to think about, and I would honestly wouldn't mind seeing that should Goodell lose his job. But Mr. Adam Feiner is in studio now. And Adam, before we take our second break of the show and get our Western baseball update for the week, what are your thoughts on Goodell and his press conference that happened today?
I was actually in class when it took place, and then went to practice, so I didn't get to see it, but I'm kind of, reading up on it now. The first thing I like that he did do in this press conference is he admitted wrongdoing. And he should, because he would have been absolutely blasted by the media. I mean, he was totally wrong, and the league's wrong as a whole. I mean, it starts at the top and then trickles down. The thing that I want to see going forward is this new conduct policy that they're talking about. What's entailed? Are they going to be harsh? Because if you do remember, early in Goodell's tenure, he was harsh on players. And I think Tagliabue kind of got, away from disciplining players, and Goodell stepped in and did a nice job. With the whole handling of Pac-Man and Michael Vick and, all those. See, what I have a problem in this whole thing, though, is, the commissioner's exemption list. Like, why are these players being paid when they're being exempted from their teams? Taken away from all team activities. Why are they being paid then? I don't get that. I'd look for a change there. And probably harsher penalties, because you've got the women's rights groups up in arms now, and rightfully so. You've got a whole bunch of groups angry at the NFL, and that's just not okay, because the NFL has grown so much to where it's one of the largest organizations in America.
Yeah. I would kind of agree with that. I think you made some very good points about that. I guess why they're exempt, wouldn't you think it's because it's in their contract, maybe, that even if they're suspended, they still get their game checks, I think?
I believe so. And that's a totally different issue, because you're going to go against the players' union then.
Yeah.
And DeMaurice Smith is not going to back down from saying, my players should be paid regardless. It's right in their contract, so then you'd have to redo the entire contract thing, and lots of changes, but rightfully so.
Yeah, you could say it's a slippery slope, if anything. But we're going to head into our second break right before the top of the hour. On the other side of this break, we have our Western Illinois Baseball Insider, courtesy of Adam Feiner, now in the studio with us right here on the third floor of Salee Hall. But you're listening to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
WIUS Macomb.
I don't have to talk.
All right, welcome back to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 FM The Dog. After that interesting commercial break, it's that apparently was called baseball. That last commercial, its title was baseball. But put all that aside, Adam, you are a Western Illinois baseball player on staff here. Give us a little inside scoop onto what you guys have been up to this past week.
All right. Well, coming off of last weekend's game, Sunday against Illinois Central, played well a little bit. You know, hung in there against a really good fielding team and a really solid Illinois Central team, and you know, played hard and eventually pushed a couple runs across in the later innings. We only gave up one run. You know, I mean, freshmen are coming up and playing well, getting hits in key spots. So we're just looking to keep it rolling throughout the spring. Or I'm sorry, throughout the fall,
Throughout the fall.
into the spring. There we go. All right.
I guess because you had some yoga talk last week that everybody enjoyed. Do you guys have any other kind of interesting things that you're implementing for this season?
See, as far as that, no. We did have kind of a new practice today where, well, it turned into a little bit of conditioning and hitting in situations and fielding under pressure where the squads were split. The team was split totally into two teams. And the defense, one team was on defense, and you had to record 27 straight outs without making an error. Once you got to 13 outs, you, like, if you made an error at 14 outs, you go back to 13 instead. So it was a new situation, and I think we handled it quite well today. I mean, the bats were really well, and we've been hitting in good spots, and we're hitting low line drives. There haven't been nearly as many lazy fly balls this year.
Do you guys still have like the same staff from last year? Anybody new? Anybody different?
We've got a couple new freshmen coming in, couple lefties, couple tall righties, one a JUCO transfer, one a freshman, or a couple of freshmen. You know, just young arms that, you know, they're used to starting every game and being the alpha dogs on their high school teams. But I think they're adapting very well to college and, you know, to their limited role. You know, they get one inning in fall ball in a game, but you know, they're getting their workouts in with their arms and band work and everything.
What about coaching? You guys still have the same coaching staff as last year?
We actually had our hitting coach go to Concordia University by Chicago and take an assistant job there. It was he was just married, and, you know, his wife got a teaching job by Chicago, so he went there. We have a grad assistant who's at Iowa, where our coach Brownlee came from, and he was a player, grad assistant last year, and he was brought over to do a little hitting coach, maintenance, and work with the catchers, and he's been nothing short of awesome.
All right, I think the last thing I have for you, at least, would be about the grounds crew, because I remember doing a couple of your games last year, and they did a very good job. Do they have anything in store for us this year, like any new like patterns on the field, if that affects how you play at all? the way they cut the grass, the way they do the infield? Because I know there's a lot of talk about that in the Major League Baseball.
Right.
I'm just wondering what you kind of feel about that, if that affects you guys at all.
We've kind of the grounds crew here has kind of been. I don't want to bash them, but we've been having to do a lot of work. This year, but the field looks great, especially the outfield. It was a little long the first week, but we got it trimmed down, and the infield's looking good. We're keeping all the dirt level, so we've been doing a lot of work, and the field shows that. And as far as new patterns or something, I mean, the halo that surrounds home plate might get some new paint. Where it says Leathernecks.
Does that really affect the game at all, like the pattern that you got cut in the outfield or anything like that? Because I know a lot of teams, especially in the majors, will put like their logo in the outfield or something like that. Does that really affect the game at all, or is it just all cosmetic?
It's hard to say because I'm a catcher and I see the game differently, but I would almost think that some people, have a certain spot in the outfield picked out where I'm going to stand here if it's a pull hitting righty or, vice versa, a slab hitting lefty. I don't know. It could screw with, putting a logo out there or something. It could screw with positioning wise, but as far as reading the ball off the bat or anything, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Doesn't mess up your footing, maybe? I don't know.
I guess, if you cut it too close and there becomes a hole, but no. I would say
I've always wondered about that because I know the grounds crews take it very seriously in baseball.
Yes. The MLB crews are amazing. It's a full-time position.
Did they make you guys pull out the tarp and everything for rain delays?
We haven't really... Since I've been here, we didn't have a rain delay at home last year, so
there you go.
I'm not sure. We got a new tarp last year, so I don't know. We're hoping not to use it this spring or fall.
So that's about all I got for you, I think, for Western baseball. Anything you want to leave the listeners with for this week? We're always going to give you one little spot to leave people with something.
Okay. Well, as normal, come out to the game Saturday. Or, I'm sorry, not Saturday. Sunday, I believe we play Southeastern Community College, and that will be our second to last fall baseball game. We are off next Sunday, and we'll resume our fall season and wrap it up against Blackhawk the first Sunday in October.
All right, so there you go. That was Adam Feiner, the Western Illinois baseball insider, right here on C4 Sports on 88.3 The Dog. I'm going to toss it over to Mr. Ryan Mason right now because we got some picks to do for this week in the NFL. Because, we told you it was going to come. We just got done bashing the NFL, and here we are picking the games.
Now we got to talk about
days.
the NFL. Yeah. We got to talk about players on the field that are actually on the field, unless they get injured. Because last Sunday was injury-ridden Sunday.
Still pulled off the victory without A.J. Green or no Sean Moreno, thanks to discount double-check Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, way to throw a plug in there.
Still pulled it off because I am good at fantasy football. Thank you very much.
Through picks through the first 2 weeks, I guess if we want to do Fox, you're still the top dog. You've even increased your lead by 3 more. You're up by 4.
I have to say, bear down for that one. Not ashamed to say it. Thank you, Chicago.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bears. Thank you, Jay Cutler. I still can't stand you. Thank you, Brandon Marshall. You're still a beast. So we'll get to that. I got a lot to say about that coming up.
Green Bay Packers card away from him? No, not yet. Not
we're
yet.
A nice group.
We're okay. Right now.
Speak for yourself. Y'all can be a nice group. If I'm a Packers fan, maybe I might just take his card, throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, please do. Okay. You're a Dallas.
Hey,
I mean, it would make sense. I mean,
man, I don't even care about this Packers card. I'm upset that he's winning right now as far as our picks.
So that's what it is. You're just salty. You're just salty.
Yes, I am.
It also helped because he picked Dallas right along with you.
I rolled with Darius last week. We'll see about that this week, though.
Oh.
So it's time. So it's game time. So last night we all had Atlanta winning. Thank God nobody picked Tampa Bay. Even though I had their defense and Darius benched their defense.
Yes,
but
I did.
They still gave me 11 points. Thank you for the turnovers, Atlanta. All right, the first game on docket, I'm just going to go down right by ESPN has on it. Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit is favored by 2.5 points. Matthew Stafford's back at home. after a difficult loss last week to Carolina. Green Bay coming off a lucky win. I'm going to say straight luck against the Jets. The second half, I mean, the offense stepped up, but I think it was more that the defense actually shut down Geno Smith and Rex Ryan or Marty, whoever you want to say. With the timeout, no timeout, I don't know what they're thinking. Thank you for that. Who do you guys got? Or, I mean, especially with three of us, we have stake in this game because we're fans. What do you guys see going down in Detroit at Ford Field? Ford Field.
I just want to know if Detroit's going to show up. I mean, we were on here last week, and y'all were talking about how really y'all were going to gauge how Detroit is as a team based on how they play versus Carolina.
Yep.
And they didn't play well at all. They basically got shut down. And that kind of threw me off. I thought the game might have been a little close, but the offense really didn't produce. Calvin Johnson didn't really do too much. So, I mean, we know the Packers have a bad defense. Our defense is not really good. So, I think Detroit offensively will show up. And I picked Green Bay to win this game. And I'm going to stick with that pick. But I don't really know what to think about y'all Packers right now. Because the first game versus Seattle wasn't good. Last week, the Jets were dominating the game early. And yeah, y'all came back to win, but the Jets shouldn't be dominating y'all.
No.
They're the Jets. I mean, I don't know what to think about y'all right now. I mean, it's nice to have a comeback win, but the fact that you had to come back in the first place, it really kind of...
I think it's the defense. It's the Packers' defense is just not good enough. I tweeted it out last week, and it's still the same. The Packers are a lot of people's Super Bowl pick, and they're crazy because that defense is not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. They let Geno Smith light them up. They made Geno Smith look like a elite NFL quarterback there, and that just cannot happen at all. They got Clay Matthews running all over the place. I think he's had a very good year so far, but that's about it. The secondary has too many breakdowns. They can barely get a pass rush, it seems. Inconsistent against the run. I think the Packers do win this game just because I'm telling you, do not believe in the Lions hype. Don't do it. Matthew Stafford is an inconsistent quarterback with poor decision-making. Really all they have is, I think, Calvin Johnson. And he, like you said, did not have a good game last week. The defense is a bit overrated, I think, and I think they have too many mental breakdowns. I don't think they're mentally strong. When things start to go bad for them, they'd like to take cheap shots and take bad penalties. So I don't believe in the Lions. Don't think I ever will. It's going to be the Bears or the Packers this year coming out of the NFC North, and that's why I'm going with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers finally in the second half. It took him a game and a half to look like A-Rod, the player that he is, and he dominated along with Jordy Nelson, who had that 200 yards receiving last week.
Yeah.
And finally, Aaron Rodgers started to look like himself because he was getting outplayed by the Jets defense the entire first half. It wasn't until about midway through the third quarter where he finally looked like Aaron Rodgers for the first time all season. So I think he has a big game, and the Packers win. I'll go 7-point win for the Packers.
I actually have my picks in front of me this week, so I don't mess up like last week.
Well, you should have kept with that one because you would have picked one up if you kept with Philadelphia.
Yeah, go figure. I actually have Detroit winning this game, and I'm reading right now that Rodgers is.
I don't think so.
I'm Detroit, don't I?
I don't think so. Keep on talking.
I definitely.
Ryan will check for you.
I'm checking the email right now. Rodgers is 10-1 against the Lions at Ford Field, and Stafford is 1-6 against the Packers in his career. What's the word, Ryan?
I misread it.
Right.
I actually thought you were gonna have Green Bay.
No. You know what scares me is that defense. I mean, it's
so bad. It is so bad.
Well, the thing is, they've given up big plays, and they give up big games passing and even running to teams in the past. But they've been opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
They play a zone scheme most of the time, and they give up the underneath, but they won't give up the big play. See, they're not getting turnovers this year. That's what scares me a little bit because Geno Smith, should have thrown 3 interceptions against an old Packers defense.
Yeah.
He looked like an elite quarterback. I mean, that terrifies me, and I think Calvin Johnson is just salivating at this matchup with whoever he goes against. I mean, whether it's Shields or Tremont Williams. So I've got the Lions probably by a field goal, I think it's close. It's the NFC North matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm changing my pick right now. I'm going Detroit. I'm going Detroit, and let me tell you why. Because, first of all, like Adam basically just said it all. The offense Detroit has, we know Detroit has a nice offense. But also, we know, as you said, Matt, Detroit struggles as things start getting tough, and we've seen them before. Even when last year, they were leading the NFC North, and they all fell apart. I just looked at the schedule. The last week of the season, y'all play again. Mm-hmm. And there is no way that in Lambeau Field, week 17, that y'all are going to lose to the Detroit Lions. So, and y'all not going to sweep them either. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to try and think logically ahead of the curve, and I'm going to go with Detroit. I got to have different picks than Matt because I'm trying to pass him up, okay, in this pick. I want to be in first place.
So I'm letting you go first now. You're going first.
No. I would just sit here in silence. I'm picking Detroit. C4 Sports switcheroo. Yeah. Now how y'all feel? There we go.
A little salty.
Wow.
There we go.
A little salty. I'm still questioning Green Bay's defense, and I think a lot of people are questioning them. I saw a complete turnaround, though. I don't know if that was just because they were actually stepping up and finally playing to their potential, or that the Jets were making mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Green Bay's defense this game on the road against a caliber like Calvin Johnson. Golden Tate is a good compliment to Calvin Johnson. He wasn't used much against Carolina. I don't know why, because he looked so good that first game against, it was the Giants, though. Yeah. But he looked so good to give Johnson even more room than he needs. He doesn't need any room. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to still keep with the Packers winning because I still have them winning the North, unlike the other person who picked the Packers this week. So I'm gonna throw that at you all year. So just get ready.
I mean, that's fine.
So second game, we have the Chargers visiting the surprising Buffalo Bills. The question is, do the Buffalo Bills go 3-0 this week? One person has them going 3-0, but we'll get to that when he talks about it. I'll start off. Chargers impressed me. That first week, not so much, and I was going like, okay, I have them going to the playoffs. I did not see that team out of the first week, especially with that second half collapse against Arizona. But last week, they just looked completely different, and Antonio Gates looked like Antonio Gates of old. And he might be the top tight end right behind Jimmy Graham this year. I could see that. I think he looked excellent. I have the Chargers winning, and the line is Buffalo is -2.
I actually have the Chargers winning, but this game was very hard for me to pick, and I'm really going off history because I don't trust Buffalo to go 3-0. That just doesn't seem right. I mean, they have a nice, I guess, young piece of Sammy Watkins. I do like the combo running attack they have with Spiller and Fred Jackson. But also, like you said, Ryan, Phillip Rivers really impressed me last week because he's my fantasy quarterback in one of my leagues, and I actually sat him. And I put Tannehill in because I thought Rivers wouldn't do anything against that Seattle defense. I'm not going to get all excited and say, Antonio Gates might be the second best tight end right now. I think that was just one
I'm just going to say this year.
Okay.
This year.
Okay, well, yeah, I can go with that. But I don't – if for anybody out there, don't expect that from him the rest of the year. Like, he's not that guy. That was so long ago. He just had a nice game. I mean, if you got skill, every now and then, you show up. But this is a tough one. Like, this is really just going because I don't trust Buffalo. And Matt's boy, E.J. Manuel. So I'm just going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pick San Diego.
Yeah, that's totally my boy.
That's your boy. You talk about him all the time.
I talk about how bad he is.
You talk about him all the time. Okay. That's your boy.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I picked Buffalo, right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, all right. That's what I thought.
Featuring your boy, E.J. Manuel.
Well, I'm looking at his numbers right here. You look at last year. What do we have? He had 11 touchdowns last year and 9 interceptions. This year he's only got 2 touchdowns, it looks like, with 1 pick. But the yardage is already at 375 yards, where he almost passed for 2,000 yards last year, which isn't bad. But the completion percentage was only at about 56% last year, and now it's at about 67%. So I think that's where the upgrade is from him. You see kind of the Andrew Luck syndrome, where Luck doesn't like to throw passes past 20 yards. And that's what I've seen from E.J. Manuel this year, is he's hitting his check down a lot, doing a lot of quick slants, quick outs, stuff like that. He's not trying to take too many chances down the field, and he's utilizing the playmakers that they do have at their disposal. He's still not my boy.
What I'm hearing is, what I'm basically hearing is you're becoming a fan. That's what I'm hearing over here.
Not quite yet. I'm not quite a believer in EJ, but the Bills do look good, and I just picked them to win this one for two reasons. One, they're at home, which I think you have a good home field advantage up there in Buffalo. And two, I don't believe in the Chargers, because what I say about Phillip Rivers, I said it for years, is he is one of the best fantasy quarterbacks in the league, but not one of the best quarterbacks in general in the league, because he's a guy who's always going to put up good numbers, but that doesn't always translate into wins because of his interception number. And I think he throws about 2 in this game to a very good Bills defense, and that's going to be the difference, is the 2 picks from Rivers. And as long as Manuel continues to take care of the ball, which I guess he's done so far this season, I think the Bills will pick up a close win. I'll say Bills by 5 points.
I'm kind of with Darius, because I'm looking at history and I'm saying Buffalo 3-0. It just doesn't sound right. So I'm gonna go with San Diego. I should have stayed true to my pick, and I was gonna pick. That was my sneaky preseason pick, was Chargers over Seahawks week 2 when I was looking at the schedule. That didn't work. I changed. That's fine. Phillip Rivers showed a lot, and that they can protect him, because Buffalo's D-line is no joke. I mean, they pressured Jay Cutler, they got to Tannehill, and they forced, 4 turnovers from Tannehill or something like that? I believe in their defense, I believe in everything. I think they're going to end up being a playoff team, so I think it's time to show that. I think it's time to get to 2-1 and be tied atop the AFC West.
All right. Now we have Darius's team. The Cowboys travel to St. Louis, which I will be in St. Louis on Sunday. I'm not going to the game because I'm not paying $70 to see those two teams play.
Hey. Do you like the Rams?
No.
Do you cheer for them at all?
No, not at all. I'm just going down there for the Cardinals game that evening. So Dallas is favored by 2. I said that I would not do this again, but I think I am rolling with Dallas again, because I just have no confidence in the offense of the Rams, even though they beat Tampa Bay last week. But look at Tampa Bay. Exactly. I mean, that's not much to talk about. And the Rams' defense is looking shaky. For all that great defense, I think it's just that they're on the field way too much, because their offense is just not producing. So that second half, they're just getting tired out way too quick. So I have Dallas winning, and it's not going to be anything extravagant. I'm going to say, even though they're favored by 2, I'm going to say they're going to win by a touchdown, maybe less, maybe 6 points. They'll score 2 extra field goals than St. Louis.
Why don't you go next, man?
No, you got it, Darius.
No, you go ahead.
No, you got it.
Okay, fine.
It's your team.
It is my team. And I have no idea how this spread is only 2 points. This is just highly disrespectful to me, okay? And I have no idea how anybody thinks the Rams are going to have any chance of beating us. Okay, the only thing I'm concerned about a little bit is Rolando McClain has missed practice, and he's doubtful for Sunday's game. And he has played well in his first 2 games, being the Cowboy. We played well defensively last week versus Tennessee. Offensively, we did what we were supposed to do. We told Tony Romo, stop passing the ball, and just gave it to DeMarco Murray every time. Tony barely passed, and that is the way for success right there. We keep doing that, we can win some ball games. Less Tony, more W's. Besides that, personally, I'm upset about this game because I'm going to miss it, because I got to work this freaking doggone soccer game at this school on Sunday. I don't know why y'all schedule soccer games on Sundays when I could be watching my football. Personally, I know y'all didn't think of me when y'all made the schedule, but you should have. Because for some reason, I'm in this class where I got to work this game, and I'm going to miss it. It's the first Cowboys game I've missed in like 3 years, and I'm not really too happy about that. I'm still trying to figure out a way how I can get out of it, and right now
I won't let you get out.
Yeah,
I won't let you get. I mean, I'm not letting
Matt
you get out.
is the freaking broadcaster actually for the game. So if I'm not there, he's gonna call my name, and everybody's gonna be looking like, "Oh, where's Darius?" And then I'm gonna get in trouble, and so I can't miss this game. But see, that's why this school needs good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I bring my laptop. I would be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna monitor today." I'd be on the low, just watching the game. I can't do that. But besides,
I just don't understand why they schedule soccer on Sunday. They're not going to get. I mean, they're not going to get any turnout. First of all, but they might get 3 or 4 more people if it was not on Sunday when football's going on.
Exactly. But besides all that, Dallas is going to win this game. Isn't that right, Matt? No, Matt, we want you to go next because I know you didn't pick them.
No, I did not pick
Exactly.
Dallas, and I'm still not going to pick them for exactly why you said, because they're going to make Tony Romo throw the ball, and he's going to throw at least 1, if not 2 interceptions against a little bit overrated, yes, Rams defense. But I don't believe in any team in the NFC East except maybe the Eagles because they really impressed me. I watched that game against the Colts. I do not believe in the Cowboys at all. Sure as heck do not believe in the Redskins or the Giants. Don't even get me started on Eli Manning. So really the only team I think that I have any confidence in the East is the Eagles. I think this is a close game. It's tough to pick the Rams in this one because of all the injuries and kind of the inconsistencies, but they're at home, and I think that defense is good enough to make Romo turn the ball over a few times. I think that's going to be enough. I'm going to take the Rams by 2 points. Not even 3. I'm saying a 2-point win for St. Louis. Even though I'm not confident in that, Darius. At least you have that. I'm not fully confident in that. I've been tempted to switch, but I'm going to stick to my guns.
I have Dallas winning, and I don't think it's going to be that close.
Yes.
Because, like you said, Darius, and what I've preached about the Cowboys from day one on this show, they can be successful running the ball.
Exactly.
All you need to do is turn around, get the snap, turn it around, give it to DeMarco Murray. He's a good back. He's proving that. I mean, he's a top 3 running back in fantasy and in the league right now.
Yeah, he's leading the league in rushing right now.
I mean, it's not that hard. You don't have to think complex. How do we get Des Bryant open? Because that was the thing last year.
Yeah.
Tony would force the ball downfield. And, he did that a little in San Fran, but they were still successful rushing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think with the Chris Long injury, and that helps, because he's not really regarded as a sack master like Robert Quinn is, but he stops the run as a D end. And I think that helps, and I think Romo, he might throw 1 pick, but I don't think it's enough because I think the Rams might score 10, maybe. So I think it's, 20-10 or even 27-10.
Matt, I just want you to know my dad texted me and said you're fired from your job.
I'm
now
fired?
for picking against the Cowboys.
Hey, we'll see.
He is not pleased.
We'll see.
He is not pleased at all.
I'm still not. I'm tempted to switch, but I'm gonna stick to it. I gotta stick to it.
You
now
still have
'cause
time.
I said it.
Ryan hasn't announced the next game yet. You still have time.
Sure, I'll switch. I'm just gonna go with the Cowboys.
Are you serious?
I'm giving into the peer pressure. Yeah, just because I don't want to drop this game.
Hey man, that baseball promo told you don't go into the peer pressure.
They did.
Okay?
Oh, this is different.
Go into the
This is
peer
completely
pressure.
different. I just don't want to drop the game, so I'm going with the Cowboys. I'm gonna be mad.
But hold on. I will be on the other side. That you were the only ones who picked the
but
Rams.
they're not the Bears.
You're the only one who picked the Rams to beat Tampa Bay.
Well, this isn't Tampa Bay. The Cowboys are a little bit better than Tampa Bay.
A little. Okay,
Stupid
we're not going to
peer
continue to
pressure.
disrespect. Let's just go to the next game. This is sad. A little better.
Okay.
Got 56 points.
All right, now we have Redskins at the Eagles. The comeback kids twice in a row. Eagles just look like they're going to win the East already. I'm just going to proclaim that now. Might put that in pin already. But they're only 6-point favorites against the Redskins. I have the Eagles winning, and I think they're actually going to show up the first half of this game. And it's going to be 21-point victory.
I definitely have the Eagles winning. No RG3. Which, I mean, at some points, it may seem like that is going to help the Redskins. I don't subscribe to that theory. I don't think Kirk Cousins is better than RG3 at all. Maybe at the way he was playing right now, but whatever. I got the Eagles. Sadly, like you said, Ryan, they seem like they're going to win the division. I'm not really enthusiastic about that. I mean, I play both sides of the fence, which is sad because I always say I want the Cowboys to suck because I want Jerry Jones to, get right in the head. when the season starts, of course, I don't want to see us lose all the time. So, I mean, the Eagles are going to probably win the division. They're going to be 3-0. Shout out to Shady, though. I like Shady. That's my boy, LaShawn McCoy. Nick Foles, still don't have any respect for him. He's still a bum as far as I'm concerned. I'm not riding with him. But Eagles, 3-0. First place looking nice for him right now.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nick Foles, especially in that system, but the Eagles are, I guess they just benefit from being in a very bad division, and I have them by 24 in this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the Nick Foles hate. You know, he is my fantasy quarterback. You know, take that how you will. He's put up decent numbers for me. But I've got to go with the Eagles. I mean, Washington's got nothing, and maybe, you know, they might summon something under Kirk Cousins. They might, you know, rally behind him, and it's still not going to be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Deshaun Jackson, I guess the only question I have, is he going to have a big game against his old team or no?
No, especially coming off that shoulder injury. I don't expect him ready.
So he's going to have to eat some humble pie, I guess, after Sunday's game?
Yeah, well, I don't think Deshaun Jackson and Humble go in the same book. As far as he's concerned, that man got paid, and I doubt that he really cares less whether they win or lose this particular game.
Yeah, I think he's got the same mentality that Steve Smith does for when they play Carolina.
Oh, but Steve Smith gonna like them boys.
Yeah,
I feel
so.
like he is.
Yeah.
Steve Smith, he's not going for that.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, next game we got is actually pretty interesting for pick-wise. Houston Texans heading to New York to face the Giants. Houston is only a 1.5-point favorite. Don't know that. Texas is 2-0. Giants are 0-2. I'm going to start off with trying to this fiasco, and I have the Giants winning. Eli gets a win. Eli gets a win somewhere, and I think it's right here. Yes, Houston's 2-0, but I think that's a question mark 2-0. You playing at home against RG3, who is not the RG3 from his rookie year. And their second win was at Oakland, and Oakland's just been horrible, even though I said they were going to get like 7 wins this year. Yeah, so yeah, I have the Giants winning. They didn't look too bad against Arizona. I think they got lucky with some touchdowns and all that stuff, but I'm just going to say that, but I'm not the only one who picked them, so you better just be
I got
quiet.
one question.
Yeah.
Who is the Giants quarterback?
Eli.
That is why the Texans are going to win, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
That sounds just perfect to me. That sounds like correct knowledge. The New York Giants are the number one team in the NFL that I dislike. Okay? I know historically the Redskins and Cowboys have problems. I can't stand the Redskins. The Eagles, especially after Vic was going, I really don't like them. I like Shady. Like I said, I like some Redskins players. Shout out my boy Santana Moss. We go back to when he was with the Jets.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. But the Giants never, since I've watched football basically my whole life, there has never been one player on the Giants I have ever liked. I can't stand none of their players at all. No way that they win this game. No. Well, okay, that's a lie. There is a way they could win. They all play in Houston. But hopefully they don't win this game.
They've got to get off the deck, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Eventually.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
just weird.
I think 0-16 would be lovely.
See, I'm just going off of history, and I don't think, I can't remember a New York Giants team being 0-3. It is Eli Manning. The guy's got 2 Super Bowls, but I'm not going to rest on that fact because his defense those years won those Super Bowls. He did not win those. Giants by a late field goal, and I don't know why. I'm trying to pick up points on that.
I guess.
I guess the only thing I could say, even though Eli's a bad quarterback, that game against Arizona, I saw passes thrown that hit so many receivers' hands and were dropped. It cannot all be on Eli. And some of those interceptions are on the receivers. There might be a little high passes, but even the analysts and like even Chris Carter will say, goes like, jump a little higher and you can get the ball, or at least do something. That's my thing. That's the only thing I'm going to stand up on Eli. It's not all his fault. His receivers need to get some stickum like little Giants.
That's still making us look better still. Yeah. Saying they have bad quarterback and bad receivers.
And no run game. But you want to pick them.
We're going to pick them, okay? Hopefully we have bragging rights next Friday when we come in.
Maybe but it's fine. Bit. It's fine for me either way. Either the Giants lose or the Giants win, and Matt doesn't get a win, but I don't either. So either
that
way,
do you any good.
Way, I win though. But it doesn't make your separation bigger for me. So either way, I win at this. It's okay. It's all a science right here.
Now it's time for two teams that are struggling: Minnesota at New Orleans, and New Orleans is 10-point favorites. First time I've seen the Saints 0-2 in a while, especially with Drew Brees behind the helm. I have the Saints winning, and I'm going to say at least 18-point favorites. I'm going to say 18 points. I don't know how they get an 18-point win, but I'm going to say 18.
Yeah, I went a little overboard the last time when I said the Giants, there's no way they could win that game, and I took that back. But there's no way. I don't see how Minnesota can even compete in this game. I don't know who they have even on their defense. Offensively, we know Adrian Peterson's is not playing. I don't know how they could even compete with this game. Adam, you talked about the Giants eventually have to win the game. New Orleans definitely has to win. I picked them to win the South.
This is their first home game.
Yeah, it is. No, hold on. They lost to Atlanta at home, I believe.
They lost to Atlanta
at
home.
Yeah, week 1. They were in New Orleans and they lost. But I picked the Saints to win the division and basically get to the NFC Championship game. So it would be nice if they respect the respect that I gave them. Notice that right there. Let me repeat that. It would be nice if they respect the respect I gave them. Listen to that. That's knowledge in there. Okay? Anyway, I picked the Saints. I know you like that, man. I do this especially for you.
Thank
I know
you. It makes me feel good. Exactly. Adam, I will let you go because this is your team. You were riding the Saints in our preview show for the NFL, and they're sitting 0-2 right now, and this could be the game that launches them right here. Because it's got to be. They can't lose this game. Yeah. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, if they're 0-3, then I just, I rescind my Super Bowl pick, and I'm contemplating that already. There is really no way that Minnesota wins this game, right? You lost Peterson, so now you're going to have to depend on Matt Castle.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. In New Orleans.
You think Teddy Bridgewater maybe gets a go?
He might. That's just such a tough spot.
Yeah.
I don't like that. First starting the Super Bowl, or I'm sorry, not the Super Bowl, the Superdome. I don't know. I just can't see it at all. And New Orleans has to get off the deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys said basically all there is to say. No chance for Minnesota, really. And it's got to be the Saints by about 20 points, I think. And if they lose this game, then that's full-on level 11 out of 10 panic mode in New Orleans. So I don't see that happening.
If they lose this game, you might be correct what you said at the beginning. Carolina is going to win the division.
I think they're still winning the division.
Yeah, you still
Carolina.
But yeah, I'm not just going to give you that title at the beginning.
I agree.
I'm not going to say you're right at the beginning.
That's fine. That's fine. It's only been 2 games.
Yeah. Carolina looked well last week, though. Looked well. I don't even know what that means. Looked good. Looked well. Yeah.
All right, we're going to skip ahead just in case. Get to some interesting games towards the end of the schedule, just in case we don't have time. 49ers at the Cardinals. This wasn't a hard game to pick, but I had a little bit of doubt because I just don't know what 49er team's going to show up.
Yeah.
But San Francisco is favored by 3 points. That's what the line says. I don't know where they're getting that line at because I don't even know if the line watched the game last week against the Bears. I have Arizona's a playoff team for me this year. After last year, I thought they should have been a playoff team, but, win-losses, there had to be a loser out of it anyway. I think with 10 wins, they should make an exception and kick one of the division winners out. But I have the Cardinals winning, and I'm going to say they win by 10 points. I think Floyd has a better game than he did last week in New York. Larry Fitzgerald actually had some passes thrown to him
Yeah.
last week, which was finally nice for my fantasy team. But I like Arizona. I think Arizona could be that sneaky team that could make the NFC Championship game. And, I mean, could you see an NFC West Championship game? I mean, that would just be battlegrounds. And as of right now, Cardinals are ahead of Seattle in the standings.
Yeah, they are.
And, I mean, I see them at least splitting against Seattle anyway this year. So, I mean, they could be ahead, and Seattle's chances could be dwindling in winning the NFC if they don't get that home field.
Yeah.
I have Cardinals winning by 10. I'm okay with Carson Palmer right now. I like that running game. Does that take a hit right now because of their backup not going to be playing with the wire? Now they're just going to focus more on Ellington. I don't even know who their backup is right now, but I have 10 points win for them.
Yeah, this game was actually kind of tough for me because I said San Francisco was going to fall off this year. And we know Arizona won 10 games last year, and they're a hot pick for a lot of people. But I'm not sure as of right now if Carson Palmer is playing. I know he didn't play last week, and I know practice he didn't really go full throttle this week either, so he might not play. And just off that alone, I'm going to go with San Francisco here. But this was really a tough game to pick. Because this, even though it's early in the season, this could really tell the story of the season if Arizona gets this win. If they can get this one early, this is a very big game, very big divisional game. But I'm going to go with San Francisco in a real close contest.
I like going my kind of philosophy in picking these divisional games in an especially tough NFC West is if it's so close to where you're back and forth, take the home team. And I think the crowd wasn't great at the new Levi Stadium in San Fran, but I think football is kind of being revived a little bit in the desert, and I think the defense is a huge reason why. With Vernon Davis out too for San Fran, he rolled an ankle against Chicago. I think that helps a lot because that alleviates pressure off the linebackers, and they can focus more on stopping Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde. So I've got Arizona close, though. It's still a divisional game. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I'm going with Arizona as well. I just say the Lions and the 49ers do not believe the hype this year. And I think I'm going to put the Saints kind of in that category, not so much because I think they're overrated. I just think Carolina's underrated, and everybody's going to sleep on them. But the 49ers and the Lions do not believe the hype this year. And I really like the Cardinals a lot. I kind of like the team philosophy they've had ever since they kind of they made it to the Super Bowl and lost to Pittsburgh. They've kind of had a similar core of players, really, with Larry Fitzgerald and guys like that. And I like the way they play this year. They're pretty balanced. I think they're a very balanced team, and you're going to see that, especially if Carson Palmer is able to play. And I just think San Francisco's offense is just in flux right now. They don't have any sort of identity. Kaepernick's really struggling with his confidence. And I think I'm going to take Arizona by a touchdown by 7 in this one. So I like the Cards.
All right, next game, probably the game of the week in the NFL. Rematch of Super Bowl 48. I think that's right. Yeah. Broncos are headed up to Seattle. Broncos 2-0. Seattle 1-1, but they're at home, and Seattle is favored by 4.5 points. So we're all on the same page, but we all have Seattle winning. But I want to know more why you have them winning, and what are the chances of Denver going in there and pulling up a huge upset.
I would not be surprised at all if Denver actually won this game. Seattle, I'm not going to act like I saw the whole game besides the highlights last week with Seattle, but of course they took the L that we really didn't expect. And then, I don't know, it's been a lot of talking right now that's been going on. Richard Sherman's been talking, which y'all know I love Richard Sherman, so I don't really got no problem with that. But there's been a lot of talking. And also, Denver, of course, basically built their team up for this game. Got a new defense out there. Wes Welker is playing in this game. We don't really know how he's going to look in this first game of the season. But it's not going to be a beatdown like the Super Bowl was. I think it's going to be a lot closer. It's going to be more competitive, but I'm really going with just because Seattle is at home, that 12th man, they seem basically invincible at home. I think this is a very important game for Seattle to win, though, because you don't want to lose 2 in a row. Forget what everybody in the division is doing. As a Super Bowl champ, you don't even want to take that risk of falling, early, because the previous Super Bowl champs for a while haven't even, made the playoffs. So you don't want to take that risk. So I think this is a very important game just for their own mindset to get this W.
I think it's been 10 years since the Super Bowl champion has even won a playoff game, I believe.
Yeah, it's been
it was like
that.
the Patriots in 2005 when they were the reigning 04 champs. But yeah, I got Seattle by 10 in this one, and I think Darius said a lot of what there is to say about this one. Really why I'm going with the Seahawks is they are at home and they're a different team at home. That's why home field advantage means more to them than any other team in the NFL, whether AFC or NFC. I think it's definitely a closer game. I think Peyton Manning has a good performance, but he throws one pick, maybe 2, and I got to go with Seattle at home. It's still hard to pick against them in general and almost impossible at home.
I can't see Seattle being beat really in this game because I think, as great as Peyton Manning is, I still think he's a little rattled from the beatdown that happened. And what's going to help? I'm going to flip sides of the ball for Denver. It's such an upgrade to have T.J. Ward back there and Aqib Talib in your secondary instead of Dominique Rodgers, Cromartie, and Champ Bailey. It's an upgrade and it's going to be closer. They're going to have Clady back on the whole line. People are playing their right positions there. It's going to be 14, I think. The only thing that I could see Denver winning is if they jump out early and kind of take the home crowd out of it and force Russell Wilson to beat them. Because once you get Percy Harvin going around the end with the jet sweep, and once you get Lynch and Turbin going up the middle, and at home, they're basically unstoppable. But still, Seattle 14.
Okay. I'm going to use this in PTI terms. I'm giving Denver a 45% chance. This was probably one of the closest games for me, and I'm still taking a look back at last week's game because they played a AFC West team. They played a team that gave Denver a run for their money last year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to give them a run for their money this year too. But I'm going to say that Seattle wins by field goal. I'm going to say it's real close. I think it's going to be the game that we should have seen in February.
Yeah.
And it's going to get mad ratings if you can see it. I've already looked because CBS is covering it, and we won't get it through Comcast because we'll have the Chiefs game, which upsets me. So just want to give you a heads up there.
Who cares about the Chiefs?
It's the rights of CBS to show.
Well, I guess we're maybe in Chiefs. That's a little bit of
we're
a
in
stretch.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
That's a little bit of a
I
stretch.
thought with a game like that, you would make that kind of like Fox does, like the game of the week, and just broadcast that one. But that's
I
what
guess
streaming
find
is for.
somebody that has Red Zone or go to Buffalo. We'll go to a place that Matt likes to go to. I don't want to promote anybody.
Or we can just go on them illegal streaming sites. That
illegal if you want to be that way.
But I can't say it out loud because I don't want them sites to get shut down. But if you need a little info, just hit me up on Twitter. I can hook you up.
Okay. So I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a close game.
Missouri just keeps screwing us over.
Yep.
All the St. Louis and now the Kansas City broadcasting. I'm not about that. I'm
Yep.
not about
Unless
that at all.
something changes at the end. That's what I saw on my Comcast.
I'm not about that.
But I have Red Zone, so I watch that more than anything, unless the Packers are playing. So,
then we got time for one more. Right?
Yeah, one more. Yeah. We'll save the last. The last one is for the people that are from the Chicago area. The Chicago Bears go to the Jets. All of us are on a C4 concurrence here, also. Yeah, I have the Bears winning. 2.5-point favorite. The Jets are. The Jets are actually the favorites.
Wow.
Says right here.
Wow.
The Jets are actually the favorite
okay.
by 2.5 points. I guess just I don't know why. Maybe just because
crazy.
Coin toss because they're at home. It has to be
Probably.
But I could see the Jets pulling it off, especially how they played against Green Bay. And Green Bay's defense is kind of like the Bears' defense.
Mhm.
I mean,
that is true.
Tillman's not going to be there.
Yep.
Conti, might not be there.
Hey, Chris Conti actually had a pretty good game.
Yeah,
but he made interception.
He had the interception,
nice.
but I think he got injured on
That's
the
because he
interception.
didn't have a chance to mess it up. That's why he had a good game.
Yeah, and the backup Fuller, their first round draft.
Oh
pick.
yeah, had the 2 picks.
Yeah.
Man.
One of them was complete luck. One of them,
Yeah,
bounced right to his hands.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say, I'll switch this around. I'll say Bears win by a field goal. I'm gonna say the point spread, but the opposite way where I think it should be. I think the Bears should actually be about a 2-point favorite,
For me,
maybe a 1-point favorite.
I'm going with the Bears by 7, just because that defense is bad, and that's why the Bears, even though I do have them in the NFC Championship game, I just think that's because of how good their offense is. But they're gonna get. I told my dad, and he still doesn't believe me, but I think they'll probably lose by 40 points to Seattle in the NFC Championship game. But that offense is just too good. Brandon Marshall is a stud. That one-handed catch, that's the best catch I've seen this year so far, was that touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like Brandon Marshall a lot, as well as Alshon Jeffrey. And I know they're both still a little banged up, but they're more healthy this week than they were last week. And Jay Cutler, when he's not throwing picks, and he actually looks somewhat intelligent, which he did in the second half last week, the Bears are very dangerous. I got the numbers right here. Cutler, in the first game, he had 349 yards, but he had the 2 picks. And they all came late in the game. Last week he only had 176 yards, but he had 4 touchdowns with no picks. So that's clearly him taking care of the ball. And then you look at Marshall, who only had 48 yards in last week's game, but the 3 touchdowns, add 1 more from the week before, and he's at 4 already. So I like the Bears in this one. I'm going to say 7 just because the offense has been inconsistent so far. You don't know what you're going to see out of Jay Cutler. I don't think one game, granted it was a nice win against a good team, I still don't think that takes the monkey off his back like he's trying to act like last week. But I do think the Bears just have, from talent alone, enough to beat the Jets. So I'm going Bears by 7.
Yeah, of course, Ryan, you said it's a C4 concurrence. We all have the Bears, so of course I do have the Bears winning. But I will say this, watch out for the Jets, just because they do have the number 1 running attack in the NFL so far coming into this game. So maybe that might be why also they have, they're the favorite. And I definitely would not be upset if I'm wrong at this game. If the Bears lose every game ever that they play, that would be fine with me. So, Jets, go ahead and just pretend that I'm disrespecting y'all. Geno Smith, just take this sound.
Well, they all listen to C4. They all do. So
exactly.
they're going to be a little annoyed.
I don't have any friends, particularly on the squad.
Yeah.
All the time.
So, I mean, just Geno, pretend you being disrespected, and just go ahead and win this game like you were supposed to do last week before Marty messed you up. Just go ahead.
They weren't going to win. They might have tied it, but they were not going to win.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers was going to get at least a field goal.
We don't
at
know.
least.
We don't.
Oh, no,
that.
we know that. We know that.
We don't.
We do know that.
We don't know that. I'm not just going to
always believe in the belt. Always believe in the belt.
Look here. Okay, I'm not subscribing to none of this. Anyway, I'm just going to look at you, Adam, as I talk. I'm just going to go ahead and say Bears win this game, but watch out for the Jets.
Okay. I actually like that. You guys have said pretty much everything. Chris Ivory's come in and, really flourished because he shared a lot of carries in New Orleans, and he's, taken a good amount. See, I don't believe in Geno Smith yet. And the Bears are being a little bit opportunistic. That's what's helping them on defense, and I think that's the difference between them and the Packers right now. Is they both have good offenses, but the Bears are getting turnovers. The Packers aren't. So I've got Bears in a close one. Last thing I'll say about this is, Alshon, if you're playing, if you're feeling good, just say you're playing or not. It makes my decision a lot easier on the fantasy front. So just please come on, make a decision. I know you're listening. So.
All right, I think that's about all the time we have right now, though, for C4 Sports. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We had another very good week right here. A lot of good talk, a lot of good points being made. For everybody, I am Matt Langman. Of course, tweet at me anytime if you want to talk sports. I'm down anytime, even 3 in the morning. I'll be up to talk sports. It's at LManMatt93.
I was thinking about when
yeah. When I'm not running into the raccoons. When I'm not running into raccoons.
I don't know.
No, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you. That doesn't need to be said over the air.
That's a C4 inside story.
No.
Oh, my
I'm Ryan Mason. You can follow me at Mason_IL Chief.
I didn't even think. Whoops.
I'm Adam Feiner. You can find me on Twitter at NobodyFeiner.
And I'm Darius Hawkins. If you tweeted me at 3 a.m., you're going to have to wait till I get up because I'm not going to tweet you back.
That's because you're not being chased by raccoons.
That's right. I don't get chased by raccoons. I stay in the house at that time, all right? So y'all getting me on Twitter at _Hawk_13.
All right, we got some good music for a Friday night coming up next. Keep it right here on 88.3 The Dog. For the rest of C4 Sports, we are out.